I'll let you guys decide worst to best or best to worst. Let that sink in for a minute. Actually, it's very apparent that Mormon did their hair and makeup tonight. I mean, Valero, you look totally different. Were you born with that haircut? Sorry, Beth. Payback's a bitch is what he just said across the stage. Greg, would you make your way up to the stage? And while he's coming, I wanted to say a couple words about Mike. When I told Mike he was going into the Hall of Fame, his reply to me was incredibly genuine. His exact words were, "Scotty, I'm floating right now. I've given everything I've got to this industry." Mr. Mike Carver. Greg, enjoy.
Thank you, Scotty. You may need to give me some microphone coaching. Maybe not. Anyway, thank you. And good evening, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues. Before I get into one of my favorite subjects, Mike Carver, let me also offer my congratulations today. You guys are awesome. I'd also like to say that we're honored tonight to have many members of Mike Carver's family here, along with quite a Gojo contingent. But Mike has asked for the honor to formally introduce his family and the Gojo team, so I'll honor that. A few weeks ago, I called Yates Ferris. Scott's already talked a little bit about Yates, but for those of you who don't know Yates, there may be a few. You probably have been around medical distribution. Yates is retired from IMCO. He was the vice president of the physician market for many, many years. As Scott also mentioned, he's a well-deserved member of the Hall of Fame, this Hall of Fame. So in 2014, he was inducted along with his boss, the founder, former CEO, my good friend Bill McLaughlin Sr. Great to see you here, Bill. But when I called Yates, he was really excited to talk. I mean, just maybe out of the ordinary. In fact, I would say Yates was almost giddy, at least as giddy as Yates Ferris can get. And I got to think about it, but you see, when Yates was inducted into this Hall of Fame, it was Mr. Mike Carver who introduced him, or roasted him, or whatever. And Mike, I got to tell you, you were a little hard on old Yates. At any rate, in fact, Yates almost choked up when I talked to him, but he simply asked me to say, "Mike, welcome to the C Players Club." But I also spoke with Bill McLaughlin, and now Bill and Mike go back at least 25 years, I'd say, if not longer. And together they've done wonderful work, actually, promoting the independent medical distributor. But when Bill went to tell me a Mike Carver story, he went down a path that it just even surprised me. I was shocked. It seems that Mike and Bill were on an evening event, at an evening event with Gary Reeves of MMS, now Concordance, and Roger Benz of Seneca Medical, also now Concordance, and they had their wives along. And they also had a guy with them named Mark, Maker's Mark. And apparently they had a lot of it. But, needless to say, they had a fun night. About 3 o'clock in the morning, the whole group of them, along with at least some of their wives, ended up in a hot tub. Sounds kind of dangerous and shocking. But by this time, Mr. Maker's Mark was pretty much gone. And this is going to seem really very random. According to Bill, Mike had brought into the hot tub a fully loaded dispenser of Purell hand sanitizer. I told you it was random. That does seem like an odd place and time to be discussing the relative efficacy of alcohol-based hand products. But we are talking about Mike Carver. After all, it's quite possible that he just decided that, he wanted to make a sales presentation. Mike actually was going to do it. Of course, there was enough Maker's Mark. It could be that maybe Bill and Roger and Gary might have requested it. Who knows? But, that's really not the punchline of the hot tub story. The punchline of the hot tub story is a question. It's a question for Mike. Mike, can you explain how Bill McLaughlin ended up in your swimming suit when he got out of the hot tub? It's not rhetorical. And I guess maybe the $1 million question is, what was your exit strategy? Because, if there was any swapping going on, I know you couldn't fit, everybody knows Bill. You couldn't have fit into his. And Gary Reeves, for those of you who know Gary, would never have allowed himself to get into, such a scandal as a bathing suit. Then there's Roger Benz. Well, yeah, Roger probably would have if he'd have made it mark. I suppose it's possible that Roger and Gary, maybe Mike, were in the early days of discussing the merger in the company, and you thought it might be a good idea in some sick way to help consummate that deal. I don't know. But seriously, oh, by the way, the story I just told is not fake news. It's not fake. But Yates and Bill did have many kind things to say about Mike, his leadership in the industry, and his humility. In fact, many of us saw firsthand just how humble Mike could be last week in South Florida at the Hyatt Executive Conference. Mike and I had joined Joe Briscoe and the Big Broad team for a nightcap and cigars. And we were all patting Mike in the back, reminiscing, just generally loving life and celebrating life, and really celebrating the honor about to be bestowed on our good friend. Well, Mike teared up. And I didn't even know if he'd be able to speak, but then he looked at us, told us how much he loved us, and said through his tears, "Finally, the Hall of Fame is legit." Mike really is one of the most humble guys I know, and I'll get more into that in a few minutes. But that is a true story. Ask Don Nimberg if you don't believe it. And because Adams is cracking down, I didn't bring my handcuffs, Scott. So, okay, I don't need them. I'm gonna stay within the time limit. That's maybe. Adams is cracking down. Oh, okay, good deal. I'm going to skip over some of Mike's resume as well as it was well documented in Repertoire magazine. I think that Mike obviously had a very successful and colorful career so far. I didn't say anything about Twilight, Scott, but it's no wonder, since Mike's late father, Gene, was in the medical supply business, Mike himself was exposed to it at a very young age. In fact, Mike likes to joke that when he was a little boy, other kids were playing cowboys and Indians, Mike was playing with urological supplies. And just Foley catheters and whatnot. But I'll skip ahead to 1992. That was the year Mike hooked up with Derek Mance, and the two of them started Southland Medical Supply in Knoxville, Tennessee, literally from scratch. They started out with no sales, 4 employees, and 1 distribution center. And in 4 years, they had 205 employees and 15 distribution centers. These guys obviously worked the butt off. But I spoke with Derek Mance recently, and I asked him about his time with Mike and the hard work they put into the Southland business. In his deep Southern accent, Derek said, "Well, we did what it took, Greg." He said, "I wasn't much of a sales guy. That was more Mike's shtick. In fact, I was with him once selling adult incontinence products to a group of 300 home care nurses. And Mike made that presentation wearing an adult diaper." He made the sale and got a standing ovation. Now let's just let that sink in just a tad. And hopefully everybody's done with their dinner. Anyway, after Mike and Derek sold their company in 1999, Mike hooked up with me at Paper Pack Products for a short stint until I came to my senses and went back to Gojo, where I had been for 5 years previously. But shortly thereafter, Mike joined me at Gojo. Now we're on to record sales, great relationships based so much on Mike's hard work. And through all these years, I haven't had to clean up after him. Much. And of course, there's the traditional first question from Mike at the Hyatt Executive Conference political debate every year. Always in the front row, often in a pink shirt and socks. And of course, Mike always introduced himself as, "Hi, I'm Mike Carver from Knoxville, Tennessee, a red state with no state income tax and a $2 billion surplus." Every year. Last week I focused on the stage when Mike stood up for his preface and his question, and I noticed the left-leaning debater, Governor Howard Dean, kind of had that deer in the headlights stare, like, where's this red state question going to go? And of course, the conservative guy was smiling, but I can assure you that the HIDA CEO, Matt Roman, the facilitator of the debate, was not smiling. I noticed he kind of cringed, had his fingers crossed behind the podium. But anyway, Matt is a good sport. Sorry he couldn't be here tonight. He's a very good sport for continuing to allow the Carver first question tradition at the HIDA Executive Conference. In fact, Mike, I got to tell you, I've heard, and I heard this last week after the conference, they're starting to refer to you as the Helen Thomas of HIDA now. I don't know. Congratulations for that. At any rate, let me shift gears and tell you something about Mike you probably don't know. Mike has a shy side. Actually, that's a lie. Mike has no shy side. The man made a presentation wearing an adult diaper and swamp bathing suits in a hot tub. This guy has no shy side. But I do want to tell you a little bit about Mike Carver, the man. And when I talked to Brad Thompson at NBC, for example, he said of Mike, what you see is not what you always get, or not what you get. He said, sometimes people just don't know how to take Mike at first. Imagine that. He said, but what they quickly learn is that Mike is somebody who will do anything for anybody, anytime. And Debbie Bullock at IMCO, said effectively the same thing. She told me on several occasions when Mike, on his own, with no fanfare, just reached out and helped other people. But I think most of us in this room have seen Mike and Jenny work their butt off for fish. And I know wonderful presentation a while ago with the check, Scott and Mike, but this work that Mike and Jenny have done, I've gone to the Fish Hospitality Pantry and I've talked to Jim Wright, the executive director, and I've seen the walk-in freezers and the equipment that they've got there as a direct result of the money that's been contributed by many of you in this room, or raised by many of you in this room. And obviously, the annual Friends in Healthcare event that Mike and B-Bron's Tim Kikinius put on every year really helps spotlight that wonderful charity. And I did call Jim Wright earlier this week myself, Mike, and you probably didn't know about that, but I did. And first he sent his regrets. He would love to have been here, and he's so appreciative. But he did tell me this, because I asked him about his working, with you, Mike, and here's what he said, and I'm going to quote. Thanks to Mike Carver's generosity and leadership, more than $100,000 to date has been raised to feed hungry families in Knoxville. These funds have provided a 3-day supply of food to more than 20,000 families. That's over 50,000 people. Mike's commitment has inspired many others to join in the effort to end hunger in his community. Now that's Jim Wright, Executive Director. I'm going to close with this. I asked Marty Martyr of Owens & Minor what he thought of Mike. And he said, it's really hard to describe, but Mike just makes you feel good as a person. He said he makes you feel good about your family, makes you feel good about the company you work for. Marty also told me that for obvious reason, he doesn't have pictures of his suppliers all through his office, or too many of them, plus it's the precedent of that. But Marty does make one exception. Marty has this picture, posted in his office. And this is a picture of Marty and Mike at one of the annual Friends in Healthcare events, having fun and raising money to help feed hungry people. And the reason Marty says he has this picture displayed in his office is pretty simple. He says it's because it makes him feel good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it makes me feel real good and honored to introduce Big Mike Carver.
I didn't make the check out to Helen, but we'll change that when we do the real one. Many of us see Mike as a big personality, and that's who we think he is. I'm here to tell you that's not half of who he is. I, like Greg, talked to Mr. Brad Thompson last week. As most of you know, Brad and I were Fred and Barney for about 3 years. We drove back and forth to work together, so we're pretty tight. But I asked him, I said, tell me in a few words what you think of Mike Carver. And Brad's comment was, if Mike's worst enemy was in trouble and needed something, Mike will be the first person there to take care of it. That's my part.
Well, thank you, Greg. Connor and I are excited to have been able to make Knoxville, Tennessee, the center of healthcare sales in the United States. And I want to start out by thanking the Shared Media Repertoire team for all you guys do. This industry is most critical in the country as it relates to patient diagnosis, patient outcomes, and where would we be without Scott Adams and his team? So, it seems like we're informed on an almost hourly basis of what's going on in either distribution or manufacturing. So we're very blessed. Thank you, Scott, for it. Also, I want to congratulate the Repertoire Shared Media Hall of Fame Committee. They've really got it right this year. They've been very Dick and Tony, my family and myself, we're humbled and honored to share this stage with you guys. You guys are just two stars, and congratulations to your families. I want to congratulate all the past inductees, but we've got several teammates, as Greg said, from GoJo tonight. I would like to introduce them. It means a lot for my team to be here. We've got the head of our healthcare division, Vice President Jeff Hall's here. Greg's here. He's our head of sales for healthcare. We've got my assistant Andrea Root here. We've got our two original sales directors who worked with me when we began 14 years ago, determined to stop the infection epidemic here in the United States. Two of my best friends, Terry Pollock and Joe Beameray. We have our North American International Business President, CEO, the very esteemed Steve Schultz. And finally, our leader, our chairman, our CEO, the man responsible for development of the product named as one of the top 25 inventions in our nation in the last 25 years by USA Today. A man whose vision has affected everybody in this room. My very good friend and teammate, the iconic Mr. Joe Carver. Also honored to have several members of my family here, and I've got my lifelong partner and best friend, wife of 44 years, Jenny. My beautiful daughter, Caroline, and her husband, Luke, are here. My son Clay and his wife Shannon are here. My sister Debbie and her husband and one of my best friends, Bill Hively, is here. Bill is with Concordance, and he's as good as a distributor sales rep as there is in the United States. And I pay him this compliment even though he's been doing my little sister for 47 years. Been the corporate sponsors for what many consider to be the most enjoyable networking event in our industry for 19 years. GoJo and Braun sponsor that. We have Senior Sales Officer Joe Grispo. What a star. Joe, thanks for being here. And we also have my partner, Tim Shokinius, who puts on that. Got a couple more introductions, and that part will be done. I want to welcome Matt and Sonny Barnes. They're one of my favorite families all time in healthcare distribution. And the Barnes family of Chicago, man, they own Professional Medical Supply, just tremendous people. Thank you guys. And finally, certainly not least, I want to thank John and Lynn St. Ledger from Marathon Medical. Partner through NBC, service disabled veteran-owned small business, and tonight I wear John's shear pin, which was awarded to him for all that he did in training our special forces. And I wear this tonight just to remind us all, we live in the greatest country in the world, but freedom's never been free. John, thank you for everything you've done for our country. Here's my challenge here, besides Scott being right behind me here. How do I take 44 years of stories, some of them true, in an industry that I love, the people that I love, when together we work so hard and play so hard, it makes such a difference in so many people's lives, and summarize this in 20 minutes. Okay, it's impossible. So I'm only going to talk a little about my dad, a little bit about my faith, a little about my wife, a little about the last 14 years and how together we've changed the healthcare landscape in this country forever. Okay? Let's have some fun here. I was raised in a Ohio River town, in West Virginia. We had about 80,000 people. My dad was a brilliant man. He's raised by a single mom. She did assembly line work. He got a job, an entry-level job with our independent medical distributor in Huntington after World War II. It was called Medical Art Supply. And that would eventually be one of the first and most profitable general medical stores. So, my dad worked his way up. He was became their top sales producer, general manager, and eventually the owner. Had a long, great career. But one memory stands out is that a lot of y'all know Max Goodlow, the founder of General Medical, inducted in 2005. Max used to come to our house several times when I was a kid. And my dad just respected him so much, and so, I only got to make one call with my dad before he retired, and I was out of college, and, I went with him to one of his prime dinner councils or medical center up in Gallup West, and I just remember how proud I was that he carried a bag, and I carried a bag, and I was so excited about being in this industry. But he, on the way home that day, on Route 2 up from Gallup West to Huntington, he said, Mike, I hope nobody that you compete with ever outworks you. I think what my dad was saying, balance is good, but this industry is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week industry, and if you're willing to be successful, you're going to have to make sacrifices, and you're going to miss a lot of personal events, but your willingness to sacrifice is going to save a lot of life in this industry. And that's what makes this industry special. Every day, we affect somebody's life. So it's so surreal for me to think my dad's up in heaven looking down. He's saying, Max Goodlow, my partner, and Mike, my son, in Hall of Fame together. It's really hard to even comprehend. So next, I want to talk a little bit about my faith. Most difficult decision of my career, the biggest test of my faith, that happened in '88. 9 years earlier, I was 28. Skyland Hospital Supply, which is now through Accordance, they recruited me away from Baxter Travenol to create a distributor territory in Huntington, West Virginia. Now, Huntington in '79 is a thriving medical community. American Hospital Supply had a stronghold. Carver Fells had a stronghold. General Medical had a stronghold. I was a 28-year-old kid with no business trying to start from scratch. But still today, I think the hardest job in healthcare is for a distributor rep to start from scratch and create a territory. But by 1988, I become the top producer at Skyland. I controlled all the medical decisions in all the hospitals, all the nursing homes, the health department, all the physician buildings, all the home delivery. At that time, we got 22% of gross profit. I mean, it was a nice life, believe me. And my territory was considered the most dominant, really, one of the most dominant independent distributors, and we're doing well. I was doing well financially. I had total control of everything as far as medical products. My wife's career, she was a nurse paralegal. She just addressed the State Bar Association. Our family, we just purchased a new home. We had multiple level decks in this home. We had just a beautiful, had an old cherry wood family room and circular fireplace. It was stunning. We had hundreds of friends. Her family, my family, they lived less than a mile from us. I had opened the #1 sports bar in Huntington called Tavern Off the Green. Our kids were thriving in school and sports. Jenny and I have been blessed with 2 new kids. It gave us 4. We had a 4-month-old and a 15-month-old. But in 1988, at that time, Albers Drug, a pharmaceutical wholesaler from Knoxville, led by the legendary Bud Albers, he purchased Skyler from our parent company. And about 2 months after we closed, Mr. Albers called me and asked me if I'd uproot my family and move to Knoxville to start another territory from scratch. And so, you know, it's flattering when people recruit you and they want you to come in, but, you know, I'd worked 9 years to put our family in this position we were in. Spiritually, financially, socially, we were living the American dream. And but after Mr. Albers called, you know, God told me He wanted me to go to Knoxville. That was a plan for me and my family, despite the fact it was going to affect so many people's lives. And after that initial call, I prayed about it. And I kept praying that God would change His mind and let me stay in Huntington. Starting over again with no accounts and no inventory, and it just seemed, you know, when I thought I was on top of the medical distribution world, it just seemed like a daunting undertaking. Anyway, a week later, Mr. Albers, Sam Taylor, the CEO, they drove to Huntington. We met at my best friend's restaurant called Heritage Station. They wanted me to start in 3 weeks. They needed a decision. And walking out of that beautiful cherry family room that night, our new home, before the meeting, Jenny she just had got home from work, and she knew that our lives were about to change forever. And her and the kids, their world was going to be turned upside down. So on the way out the door, she just said, "Mike, kids and I believe in you, and we love you, and we're with you." So that night, Bud Albers, he looked me down and we shook hands. There was no contract. We never discussed money. During the initial call a week earlier, Bud Albers had told me he was going to take care of me. And he lived up to that promise. And, you know, a handshake back then was all you ever needed from Bud Albers. But 18 months later, again, I had the largest territory, Skyland Hospital Supply, now concordant. But more importantly, that decision would open the door for so many opportunities for my family and friends to help change the world. And that's what we're going to talk about here in just a second. That's what we've done. So, real quick, in '93, Greg mentioned Southland Medical Supply. Derek, Nance, and I, we were able to do a startup distribution company with an idea. Our goal was to leverage our technology vision to control the medical delivery, supply delivery, the home care, visiting nurse market in the United States. And we consider ourselves pioneers. We were able to, we joined INCO. We considered ourselves pioneers, but we were able to develop and implement barcode scanning processes, which automatically generated all our orders and all the billing, and we ended up securing over 400 agencies throughout the country. So still today, when I work with NEC members or INCO members, they always ask, "Mike, you know, why are you so empathetic with the independents? Why do you love independent distributors so much?" And, I know what it's like to start from zero and go to $30 million in 4 years and try to finance that growth. Okay, it's not easy. And I know what it feels like to open up 16 distribution centers in 4 years, and your family and your name and your family names on every one of those leases, guaranteeing those leases. And I know what it's like to be self-insured, and you go from 4 employees to 205 employees, and you have 2 bad babies in 1 month and 2 ACLs, and you've got to come up with $300,000 over time. Okay, these guys, their whole families on the line so many times with independence. So Derek and I changed home care delivery in the country. Those 7 years were rewarding. Reimbursement changes in '99 changed the home care landscape forever, but The decision to sell Southland was difficult, but one that would give my family financial security so that we could take on the next challenge. So my partner, Derek Nance, I just love the guy. I was so blessed to have him as a partner. All right, we'll talk about dojo. And that's really why I'm here today. Greg Connor, in 2003, Connor had gone back to dojo, and he'd been pursuing me for several months to work for dojo. Our country at the time was in the middle, it was a catastrophic infection epidemic. And in 2002, there were 1,800,000 healthcare associated infections in the United States. 150,000 of those people died. And none of those people thought they were going to die in 2002 of an infection. But that was the situation this country was in. CDC determined the number one way to decrease HAIs was by healthcare facilities implementing a hand hygiene program, usually utilizing alcohol-based sanitizer for all the routine decontamination. So they estimated that compliance to their guidelines that we could decrease the deaths by 40% and decrease the infections by 40%. So Dojo had worked with the CDC. They provided the clinicals, the white papers, all the science-based data to address the issues identified by the CDC, and all those issues surrounded hand washing or lack of hand washing. Dojo had this breakthrough product, though, which would address all these ideas identified by the CDC, and the product was named Perel. And they also had state-of-the-art dispensing technology to make product easily accessible and affordable. However, at the time, Dojo primarily, almost exclusively distributed through J&J companies and other markets. That part that the CDC didn't understand with their guidelines was that distributors in this room, medical surgical distributors, that was going to be the key to infection reduction and stopping infection epidemics. So medical distribution channel was the channel of all the primary vendors for acute care facilities in the United States. So while medical distribution, they weren't focused on the category, they didn't have a breakthrough partner who would put a partnership program in place that would allow them to focus on the category, but also to share the success of the results of the focus and partnership. So I accepted Greg's offer to put together a healthcare medical channel distribution program. I was extremely confident. However, the first few calls with Dojo showed me the challenges we would face. My first phone call was to Deb Bullock, and she was at the time the VP of Acute Care and Long-Term Care Sales at INCO. Everybody in the industry knows Deb Bullock loves Mike Carver. Everybody in the industry knows Mike Carver loves Deb Bullock. And, I was trying to show off a bit with Connor. He was on my front porch, I felt I was kind of a legend at IMCO. I just written $1,240,000 worth of orders on their show floor, which was like 1,000 times higher than what they'd ever done in their life. And so I thought I was, the McLaughlins, I was part of their family. They owned IMCO, we were all family, they were a big part of my life. But after informing Deb of my new role, she basically informed me that the advisory board decided to go in a different direction, and they were going to buy their sanitizer from one care company, and we weren't really going to be a player. So that was a tough call, but obviously that decision was rescinded, and we've since done millions and millions and millions of dollars of new business with IMCO. And our partnership has been legendary, believe me. So the next day I got on a plane and I went to Chicago to meet with Cardinal Health, and I guess that was about the 14th reorganization ago. Cardinal, but marketing was in control at that time. I met with this marketing director, Nicole Fredrickson, and so right off, the first thing out of her mouth was, well, it's good to finally meet somebody from Dojo. That's not the best state that you want to be when you make your call, and so, but what she told me is Cardinal decided to focus on their private brand line and hand hygiene. They would not be supporting and distributing Dojo. And considering they had 40% of the acute care market in the United States at the time, that was a really challenging thing. But thank goodness my good friend Howard Jagoda heads up vendor relations. Howard, Michelle, and I eventually agreed on a vision of a program, and after 3 years' time, and a historic announcement in this industry. Cardinal announced they would be discontinuing all their private brand line and hand hygiene, and they would put all their focus on GoJo. So, we work with Cardinal to develop probably the most productive program in the United States, the below-the-line program, Performance Plus. We've done hundreds of millions of dollars in new business. But more importantly, Cardinal has been a consultant, the hero of consultant for so many of their prime vendor accounts and affecting so many patients. So, a couple more calls. I went to Nashville the next week to meet with National Distribution and Contracting. I was supposed to meet with a guy named Scott Tubont. Now, Scott's always treated me like a gentleman. Well, let me rephrase it. Most of the time, Scott's treated me like a gentleman. You know, Scott's a professional. He's a good friend, passionate negotiator. But I've always wondered what would be more enjoyable, a double root canal or negotiate the contract from scratch with Scott Tubont. But the result of those negotiations, 14 consecutive years of record-breaking sales, tens of millions of dollars of new business with all their members, and one of the most consistent, productive partnerships in the history of our industry. It's just been an unbelievable run with NDC, and more important, it's just all the effect we've had on so many people. But finally, my last call, these first call I was going to talk about, I went to Richmond to meet with what many consider the most feared head of vendor relations ever in our industry, Mike Holtz of Owens. And Holtz, you know, we were doing pennies on the dollar. I think we had one small account, but Mike he's a professional, dedicated, loyal, but if you didn't have a breakthrough idea, Mike Holtz, he wasn't going to get excited, okay? And this is my vision. They had 44% of the acute care market. I had to get Owens & Minor. He already had two best friends in their focus program. We weren't one of them at the time. He did agree to distribute our products up. You know, great products win some of the time. Great relationships win most of the time. And together they win all the time. So, you know, I had to find a way to get Mike's trust and become O&M's exclusive focus vendor. That's what I had to get done. And so, a few months, Mike and his wife agreed, beautiful wife Sandy agreed to come to Knoxville and spend the weekend with me. And I guess he vetted me and my family, enjoyed Mike's friendship tremendously. He was detailed with the due diligence. He loved our category. But about a month later, I was on number 11 tee with Cacanius, and we were playing golf at Willow Creek. I was trying to decide whether he was 8 or 9 iron, and Mike Holtz and I talked on the phone. He told me to go to a new exclusive focus vendor for O&M and hand hygiene. I was courteous and professional, but after Tim and I, man, we would shoot beers, yell and high five. I didn't even finish the round, but that was hundreds of millions of dollars in new business. Okay, with Owens & Minor. Manufacturing's end of the year ago, but more importantly, so many lower infection rates for all their lead partner accounts, and it's just been kind of fun. So what have we accomplished with our partnerships over the past 14 years? Well, with our commitment to change healthcare. We decreased HAIs from 1,800,000 to 750,000. Our programs are estimated to be responsible for about 400,000 less infections. Deaths decreased 70,000 to 70,000 this year. That's a reduction of 80,000. The people in this room contributed to decreasing about 30,000 deaths per year. That's per year. So about a year ago, I received an email from Dr. Charles Kirkpatrick Carver. He's a first-year resident in internal medicine at Carolina Health. Now he's the chief resident, I might add. But Carolina Health's a large idea in Charlotte. It's a GoJo house sold by the incomparable Terry Pollock, serviced by Carver. There was a short story titled Starfish with a handwritten note on the top. The note said, "Dad, the story below is required reading for all residents in the Carolina Health System. When I read this, the first thing I thought about was you and Connor and the GoJo team and all your medical distributors. Thank you for all that you do for each and every one of us and our patients. Well, this short story goes like this. A young man's walking across the the ocean and sees a beach on which thousands and thousands of starfish are walking ashore. Further along, he sees an old man walking slowly and stooping often, picking up one starfish after another and tossing each one gently in the ocean. "Why are you throwing starfish in the ocean?" he asks. The old man answers, "Because the sun is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them further in, they will die." "But old man, don't you realize there's miles and miles of beach and starfish all along it? You can't possibly save them all. You can't save 1/10 of them. In fact, even if you work all day, your efforts won't make a difference at all." The old man listened calmly and he bent down to pick up another starfish and threw it in the sea. It made a difference to that one. You see, the people in this room, we're the old man. The old man of this story is each one of us in this room. This is what we do every day. How many parents are going to get to see their daughters attend the prom this year because Roger Benz and Dave Myers and Lisa Holman and Buddy Bird sat across the table from Mike Carver and said, "We're all in with Gojo"? How many parents get to see their son or daughter graduate this year from college because Brad Thompson and Mark Sykes and Laura Reline, Paul Harney and Dave Rose and Steve Martin and the NBC team promote Gojo every single day? How many lives will be affected next year because my good friend Marty Martin's teammates at O&M were so committed and supported Gojo hand hygiene focus program? So in conclusion, after tonight there'll be 31 extremely talented inductees in the Hall of Fame. It's hard for me to imagine anyone in the Hall of Fame loves his friends in his medical surgical distribution industry more than Mike Carver. It's hard for me to imagine anybody more appreciative of what we've accomplished together than Mike Carver. I mean, after all, who else can say, "My friends and I changed the healthcare world forever"? And we did. Thank you so much. I'm humbled. Me and my family are grateful. God bless you.
Distribution, half of manufacturing, building strong relationships with supply chain. While still in school, he worked holidays and summers at Medical Arts Supply Company in Huntington, West Virginia, where his father, Gene, was partner and general manager. After graduating the University of Tennessee, he joined Baxter Travelon Laboratories, then opened territory in Knoxville, Tennessee for Skyline Hospital Supply. Later, he and a colleague started their own distribution company, Southland Medical. In 1998, he joined Paper Pack Products, for whom he set up medical distribution networks. And 5 years later, he joined Gojo Industries. The most honest, compassionate, kindest, hardest working people in the world are in the healthcare industry. Mike Carver.